Krishna. So welcome to Shubhamangalanti Japa session and short class. So today on account of the Jagannath, we'll try and discuss the pastimes of Lord Jagannath. Just a minute, okay. So before I start, I'll invoke the prayers. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथां मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं स्वजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललित श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपति गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी दशमानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जय पताका स्वामी निति नामिने नमो आचार्य पदाय निताय कृपा प्रदायिने गौर कथा धामदाय नगर ग्रामतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। So before I start off with the pastime, so there's one particular shloka in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 9, wherein Lord tells that Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tvyakva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So translation goes as, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So we can see as to how Lord is assuring that one who hears to his pastimes will never take birth in this material world, but will attain his eternal abode, that is the Golok Vrindavan. So, Lord Jagannath's pastimes are just so sweet to hear and very pleasing to the ears, and also purifying the devotee's heart. So there are many beautiful pastimes that are associated with Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath, he's a very merciful form of Lord Krishna, who is incarnated in this age of Kali for uplifting the fallen souls. So we can see as to how Lord has taken the form in the form of stone. He is incarnated as Giriraj Govardhan. And in the similar manner, in the form of wood, he is incarnated as Lord Jagannath, and he is also known as Daru Brahma. So Daru means wood, and Brahma means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Jagannath is also known as Daru Brahma. So is the most merciful incarnation. So it could be the form of the Lord, or it could be Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad, the Ratha Yatra. So through all these means, Lord Jagannath is showering his mercy upon the living entities. So we can see as to how Lord Jagannath, he's come out now on his chariot to shower his mercy upon all the living entities. So when I was hearing to one of the senior Lord Vaishnava's class, he was mentioning an analogy telling that, so when you're sick, you go to the doctor and you see the doctor, and the doctor gives you the prescription of the medicines. But when you're really sick, you call up the doctor and the doctor comes to your home. So that is Jagannath here. So, we are all so conditioned that we don't want to go see the Lord. So Lord's decided that I want to shower mercy upon my devotees, and he's all set, and he's come out to shower his mercy upon his devotees. So we have always heard as to how Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. So he's bound by the love of his devotees. So there are such wonderful pastimes of Lord Jagannath. It's endless. You can speak for days and days and days, and the Leelas of Jagannath are just so sweet. So we'll start with a couple of the pastimes. First, we'll be starting with the pastime of Dasa Bori. So he's one of the most favorite devotees for Lord Jagannath, and his love for Jagannath is just so immense that Lord Jagannath gets himself bound by it. So there is one sweet pastime wherein, so particularly Dasa Bori is a very poor person, and with his limited financial capacity, he tries and he serves the Lord. So one day it so happens that it also happens that Dasabori sees that the coconuts are being sold on the street. So as soon as he sees the coconuts, he thinks that they are so fresh. So let me not, why not let me offer it to Lord Jagannath. So he goes to the person who is selling the coconut, and he asks him as to how much does the coconut cost, and when he sees that it is out of his financial capability to purchase the coconut. So that was the condition that Dasa Bori was in, but somehow he bargains with the coconut seller, and he barters it for a piece of cloth, and he gets coconut. And after getting the coconut, now he thinks, so how do I offer it to Jagannath? So while he was contemplating on it, there was his one friend who was a very rich businessman. So he was going to Jagannath Puri, and Dasabori takes advantage of this opportunity, and he asks his friend, can you offer this coconut to Lord Jagannath? But his friend replies telling that, I'm going on out on a very important business meeting, and I don't think I would be having time to go to Jagannath and give your offering. But upon his continuous request, Dasabori's friend agrees to it, and he goes. And Dasabori also tells him that you don't have to put much effort. You go to Jagannath Puri, stand in front of the temple, and facing the coconut towards Sudarshan, tell that, oh Lord Jagannath, your devotee Dasabori has sent you coconut, and if you are willing, you please accept it. So the businessman feels that Dasabori is speaking nonsense. So how can the Lord come and accept the offering, standing out of the outside the temple? But since Dasapuri had requested him, he goes and he tells the same thing, that your devotee Dasapuri has sent coconuts for you, Jagannath. So if you desire, you come and take it. So he was holding the coconut in his hand, and from the sanctum sanctorium, Lord Jagannath's hands come, and they take the coconut, and the hands go back, and the businessman is all surprised. So Jagannath came and he took the coconut. So Dasabori's faith on the Lord and his love for the Lord was so immense that Jagannath himself used to come when Dasabori used to call. And Dasabori's special quality is that he could see Krishna everywhere. Once it so happened that Dasabori was very tired working, and he asks his wife to arrange for lunch prasad. And when his wife arranges the prasad, so those days the lunch was served in a red terracotta pot, and his wife serves him the rice on the terracotta pot. So there's the red terracotta plate. On that there is a heap of white rice, and a little of spinach sabji is also being served with it. So since they were very poor, the spinach, which is green in color, it had become so old that it had already turned black. So his wife gets him the prasad, and upon seeing it, Dasabori goes into ecstasy. So because he imagines the eyes of Lord Jagannath. So because the eyes of Jagannath, outer it is red and the inside part is white and black. So he's in all ecstasy because he thinks that Jagannath's eyes have come. And he starts dancing, and his wife, she thinks that Dasabori has gone mad, and she calls all the villagers to handle Dasabori, and the villagers tell that don't serve him prasadam like this, serve him separately, otherwise again he'll think it is Lord Jagannath's eyes, and he'll again start dancing. So as to how, even though the Lord is not present, he manifests in the hearts of the devotees through one or the other way. So we can see as to how Dasabori was seeing Lord Jagannath's eyes in place of his lunch prasad. So as the days pass on, Dasabori's faith and devotion on the Lord increases, but he starts becoming very old. And he when he was fit and fine, he used to attend the Ratha Yatra of Lord Jagannath. But as he becomes old, because of his old age, he cannot travel so far to see Lord Jagannath. And at the same time, it would be the time for Ratha Yatra. So what happens is that he thinks as to how he has always gone and seen the Lord sitting on the chariot, showering his mercy. But due to his old age, he's unable to do it. So he laments in his heart, and that night with the same lamentation, he sleeps. And to his surprise, Lord Jagannath comes in his dream, and he tells Dasabori, why are you lamenting? You don't have to lament. All you have to do is that come to the backyard of your house, and there's a pond, and in that pond you can see the entire Ratha Yatra. In fact, even in his dream, he dreams that Jagannath is taking him to the backyard, and in that pond, Jagannath is showing him the entire Ratha Yatra. So he wakes up from his dream, and he calls out to his wife, and both of them go to their backyard and see. So they're seeing Lord Jagannath's Ratha Yatra there. So yeah, Dasabori was all happy because he was in all that lamentation that he couldn't go and see Jagannath, but Jagannath has come to him in his backyard. He's able to see the Ratha Yatra. So there was no bound to the happiness of Dasabori. So these were some of the pastimes that was associated with Dasabori. So moving on to next one. So this is a pastime wherein Lord Jagannath grows black, curly, long hairs. So once there was a priest or a panda who was serving Lord Jagannath, and Jagannath was very much pleased with his service. So because he had been serving Lord Jagannath for such a long time, and his services were very dear to Lord Jagannath. It is a ritual, in fact, in Lord Jagannath Puri, that at the end of the day, the king used to come to the temple, and at the end, and the Lord's garland would be given to the king has a Mahaprasad, and king himself used to always ask for the garland. So the garland would be given out as a Mahaprasad to the king. So every day it used to go on. The king used to come, the priest used to hand over the garland of Jagannath to the king. And one day it so happened that it was very late at night, and the king did not come. And at the same time, there was a Mataji at the temple, and she asked the priest if she could get the garland prasad of Lord Jagannath. And anyways, the king hadn't turned up, and the panda thought, so what's the loss? Let's give it to the Mataji. So he gave it to one of the Matajis who desired for it, and she took the garland and she went away. But to the surprise of the panda is being informed that the king is on his way to have darshan of Jagannath. But now the panda is all confused as to what should he do, because the garland, the last garland that was there for Lord Jagannath is already given out. And now whatever garland that he was having, he removes that and he puts on Jagannath. And then the king comes, he pays obeisances to Jagannath, and the garland that the panda had put, he gives the same thing to the king. The king goes back to home, and he removes the garland, and to his wonder, there's this black hair that comes out of the garland. So the king is all suspicious as to, this how can it happen that a hair is there in the garland of Lord Jagannath, because Jagannath doesn't have hair. So it's impossible. So he thinks that the priest should have given it to somebody else, and later on this garland is being handed over to him. And the ministers of the king tell the panda that tomorrow morning, they tell the panda that the king has found that there is a long hair in the garland of Jagannath, and he wants to inquire as to how is it, because because Jagannath doesn't have hair. So the priest tells that it is very, he casually tells that, it is the hair of Lord Jagannath. But the king doesn't believe it, because he also knows that Jagannath doesn't have hair. And then the next day, the priest is in all confused state, and he's all scared, because tomorrow, if he doesn't if the king comes to know that he's lying, then he will be put behind the bars. So he makes intense prayers to Lord Jagannath, and he tells Jagannath that you're my only life savior. I don't know what will happen tomorrow, because if you don't manifest hair tomorrow, then I will be behind the bars, and I will not be able to serve you. So it is better that I take poison and I commit suicide. So with all this lamentation, he sleeps, and the next day morning, the king is all set to go to the go to temple and inquire if Lord really has hair. And the priest is also all scared, and he goes inside the Garbhagudi, and he sees Jagannath has got this long, thick, curly black hairs. And the king also had this, and the priest is all happy because he's all saved. And the king also the king comes, and he sees Jagannath actually has hairs. When he sees that, and the king thinks, this priest, just to save himself, he would have glued the hair to the scalp of Jagannath. So the king goes and pulls the hair of Jagannath, and to his surprise, Jagannath starts bleeding. So, and that means Jagannath manifested hair just to save the priest, so that he could get the loving service that the devotee was, the priest was offering. And even today, till today, the hair of Lord Jagannath is being stored in a box for the remembrance of this pastime. So that is how Jagannath can go beyond everything just to please his devotees and to protect devotees. So just a second. So there's another pastime where of Bhakta Sal Bheg. This devotee of Lord Jagannath. So in Jagannath Puri, there's a rule that the Muslims and the foreigners are not allowed to enter into the temple of Lord Jagannath. So it's only Hindus who are given a permit to enter into the enter into the temple of Lord Jagannath. But Salbeg was a Muslim devotee, and we'll see as to how he pleads Lord Jagannath. So when the Muslims invaded India, so they were all attracted by the Indian women, and it so happens that one of the Muslim kings by the name Lal Beg, he gets attracted to one of the Hindu girls, and even upon these girls refusing to marry him, he marries this young Hindu girl, and he changes her name to Fatima. So Lalbeg and Fatima they get married, and they give birth to a child called as Salbeg. And Fatima, from her young childhood days, she was a very strong devotee of Lord Jagannath. So when Salbeg was born, she used to always narrate the beautiful pastimes of Lord Jagannath, how he's performed miracles, and how he's always protected his devotee. And she used to sing wonderful bhajans of Lord Jagannath. And Salbeg, from his younger days, he was grown up in the same mood of his mother, so he was all Jagannath consciousness always. That was the upbringing of Salbeg by his mother. And one day it so happens that his father Lalbeg dies due to illness, and Salbeg is now Salbeg is also devoted to Lord Jagannath, and looking at his devotion, the villagers advise him that he should go and have darshan of Lord Jagannath, who is situated at Puri. And he goes to Puri, and but has the rules of the temple. The Muslims are not allowed inside the temple. So he's very disheartened. Salbeg is very disheartened. So he returns back, and as the time passes, his mother also leaves her body, and now it is only Salbeg who is left. So Salbeg decides that he wants to devote his entire life for the Lord. So he goes to Vrindavan, and he spends his rest of the life there. So as the time passes, it's already time for Jagannath Ratha Yatra, and Salbeg, because this is the only time that Jagannath comes out and gives darshan to the general public. Uh, so there's an intense desire for Salbeg that he doesn't want to miss looking at Jagannath this time, because this is the only opportunity wherein he can get an eye-to-eye contact with the Supreme Lord. So from Vrindavan, he starts rushing to Puri, and he's all tensed, wherein Lord Jagannath will not give him darshan, and he'll just move on, and the Ratha Yatra is over, and he doesn't have he couldn't have the darshan of Lord Jagannath. So with all this fear and tension, he starts running from Vrindavan. He's running, and on the other hand, at the Jagannath Puri, the Ratha Yatra is all set, and the Lord has already started showering his mercy, and the chariots are being pulled by the devotees. And it so happens that Lord Jagannath suddenly stops. So all the general public tries to put their entire strength and pull Jagannath, but Jagannath doesn't move. He's very strong. And after that, they call all the elephants, and they're trying to pull Jagannath. And it's just so impossible, because Jagannath is not even moving an inch. So, and after that, from the other side, Salbeg is reached, and he sees Lord Jagannath, and he starts singing bhajans to Lord Jagannath, and he sings and sings and sings, and Jagannath hears it very patiently, and Salbeg is in all ecstasy looking at Jagannath, because it's his lifetime dream to have the darshan of Lord Jagannath, and he's all happy looking at Jagannath. He glorifies Lord Jagannath to his heart's content. And after hearing to the glorification of Salbeg, that is when Jagannath moves. Jagannath's Rath starts moving. So it is said that if Jagannath has decided that he shouldn't move, then the entire force of the universe can come together. Nothing can move Jagannath. But if Jagannath decides that he has to go on moving on his chariot, then nothing can stop him. So it was by the love of Salbeg that Jagannath was stopped. And even till today, when the Ratha Yatra of Jagannath happens in Puri, there's this particular spot wherein Salbeg had come and sung his bhajans. So even today, till today, when Jagannath Ratha Yatra reaches that spot, the bhajans of Salbeg is being played, and Jagannath hears it to his heart's content, and Jagannath move. So due to shortage of time, I'll just end it up with one of the last pastime. So we've seen how Lord Jagannath is always so merciful on his devotees. But the Jagannath, when the devotee, is all puffed up with pride, thinking that I'm a very great devotee, it could be devotees or non-devotees, Jagannath is always there to, break that pride into pieces. So one such pastime is of Jagat Seta. So in this relation, there's also another pastime of Sudarshan Chakra, but I'll try and share of Jagannath Seta. So there is this beautiful pastime of Jagat Seta, wherein this Jagat Seth is a very rich merchant. He's a businessman. So he one day comes to Jagannath Puri, and he donates 1 lakh rupees to the for the service of the Lord, and he puts a condition telling that the entire 1 lakh rupees must be used for the for the service of Jagannath at one single day. And the Pandas at Jagannath Puri, they're all surprised, because the entire day's bhoga of Lord Jagannath will hardly, cost maybe around 40 to 50 rupees at that time. So spending 1 lakh rupees, it would be impossible. So all the priests are in a confused state as to what can be done, and they keep on discussing, but there's no they don't arrive at a conclusion. So the head priests tell that, let us not worry too much. Let's ask Lord Jagannath, so what is he desiring for? So they go to Jagannath. So the head priest, that night, he meditates actually, and the Lord appears, and the priest tells that there is this person called as Jagat Seth, and he has come, and he's donated 1 lakh for your service, Jagannath. So he's telling it has to be utilized for the your service in one particular day. But we are all in a confused state, and we do not know how do we do that. So they asked Jagannath, so what do you want, Jagannath? What are you desiring for? So Jagannath tells that, I just want a pan. So, and the head priest is surprised. For a pan is not going to cost you 1 lakh. So Jagannath tells that, so in this pan, he wants a paste where it is being made out of a jewel that is being found in the forehead of an elephant. So that jewel must be crushed, and it must be made into a paste, and that paste has to be applied on pan, and that is the pan that the Lord Jagannath is desiring for. So the priest goes and tells the same thing to the merchant, and the merchant is all bewildered as to what can he do, because these jewels, they're not found in every elephant's head. There are specific elephants which are born with this jewel in their forehead. So there should, thousands and hundreds of elephants which has to be killed, and then the jewel has to be extracted. So this is going to cost him billions and trillions, and nowhere his 1 lakh would be sufficient for this seva that Jagannath has requested for. And then this devotee devotee realizes that he was all puffed, then Jagat Seth realizes that he is all puffed up with the ego and pride, that he's donating 1 lakh to Jagannath, and he realizes it, and he asks forgiveness to Lord Jagannath, and he pays his humble obeisances. And this is how Jagannath crushes the ego of Jagat Seth. So the pastimes of Jagannath can just go on and on, but due to the limitation of time, I stop hereby. So Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai Sudarshan ki jai, Jagannath Radayatra Mahotsav ki jai. I thank Parabhakti Mataji and Mathurapati Prabhu for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.